It's that time of year again where the Black Friday sales are on again, and I have been waiting all year with a list of things I want to buy and hopefully will go on sale. So if you're buying something this Black Friday, consider this list that I have compiled of headphones and audio gear that you can buy, and in turn, by buying through the links I put in the description, you'll help out this channel. Now that being said, I'll also link to the reviews of products that I have reviewed in this list, and you can check out the good points and the bad points of these products, as I don't want people buying stuff that they don't like and having to send it back. Do note that I only get benefit if people buy stuff and don't send it back. I don't get anything just for the purchase. It has to be kept. So I have actually no interest in encouraging people to buy things that they're going to be unhappy with. Like I've always said, good reviewers connect the right people with the right products and everyone ends up happy. Audio 46 has specials including the Meze Liric, which is the Generation 1 version, not the current generation, at $500 off. So if you're looking for a transportable, since they aren't really foldable, pair of closed back headphones that are kind of subtle and look attractive but not so blingy, and they will power out of pretty much anything, dongle DACs, your computer or whatever, and they're very resolving as well. We also have the gold standard HD600s from Sennheiser, which have been the standard for headphones going back decades now. At $299 down from $449, they're down at the price they used to be many years ago. So this is definitely worth considering and only available for a limited time. We also have, of course, the Chord Electronics Hugo 2, down $325, down from the $2,500 retail price down to $2,175. This is definitely a good price for what is the standard high-end portable device. You cannot buy a portable player that will beat it in terms of overall resolution. HE1000s, there's one HE1000 Stealth in stock for $11.19. And if you consider the normal HE1000s, I think the unveiled one is now $2,600. So they used to be $3,000 new, and that was the original version. This is a real bargain, and certainly considering how HiFiMan, older products have come down, certainly worth considering. Speaking of that, you can get the Arya Organic, which I have a pair in for review, but they've already come down in price to $979, and they're readily in stock. Also, if you're looking for some other headphones, there are things like the good old Sennheiser HD620s, which are down from $249 down from $349. That's pretty much a third off the normal retail price. If you're looking for some Focal Clear MGs, now I haven't reviewed these because reviewing Focal headphones is tricky for me for various reasons, you can get those for $365 off at $11.25, down from the $14.90 price. So they have one left in stock of those if you're interested. And a little bit obscure for electrostat users, you can buy a pair of SR-007As for $17.64, down from $22.05, which is $441 off. And of course, if you don't know what electrostats are, you need a amp that costs thousands of dollars to begin with. But if you happen to be looking for a pair of those, they do have one left in stock. Lastly, if you're into the old streaming thing, the Bluesound Node is extremely popular. I've never bothered reviewing one, but if you happen to be in the market for one, they have one left at $150 off, or $349. Heading on to APOS, they've mostly sold out of their Focal headphones, but they do have some in at a discount. Now this is an interesting one. APOS Audio shows the Focal Clear MG headphones at $11.92, although the page shows at $14.99. You might want to check up with them on that, as some of these shopping cart systems do seem to have bugs. I saw Shenzhen Audio seem to be advertising some DAPs at like $20, but it turned out when you went to the page it was like $200. They seem to have some weird bugs, so just check that out to see what price they do have for those, because if it is the price that's up there at $11.92, that's a real bargain. But you can get the batteries at $559, that is correct, down from $7.99. They are highly regarded Bluetooth noise cancelling headphones, and I was actually considering getting a pair, except the US dollar is pretty high for me at the moment, and I haven't been traveling lately, but it's something I'm considering if you want Bluetooth noise cancelling, maybe without having to deal with an excessive drop in sound quality. They also have the Meze 109 Pros for $7.99, down from $9.18, and that makes them quite a good price for these, what I consider one of the best headphones under $1,000. Quite resolving, very fun sounding, very comfortable to listen with, and drives out of literally anything. And one of the interesting things it drives out of, which is shown up on the site, is the Nitch Magni Piety, which is a limited edition version of the Magni, because Shure Audio sells an absolute insane number of the things. But this particular version they couldn't sell as the normal Magni because they couldn't get enough parts for it. So Christian Tanimoto created Nitch Audio and started selling these, made by Shit Audio, of course. And they've been quite popular with someone who wants, if you want a slightly more tubey sounding, well, tubey sounding as it uses a circuit that's similar to a tube amp circuit but with solid state components. If you wanted a slightly more euphonic sounding Magni, well, that's the one to get. But going back to other amplification, xDuoo TA30, APOS has most of the xDuoo stuff on sale at the moment, and at $602 down from $709, that's a significant discount to what is a pretty good all-round DAC amp if you want some tubes in there. It has a few little niggles, but you can always just bypass the inbuilt DAC and plug in your own DAC. Get rid of this big Chinese rectifier, which looks pretty but is not particularly good quality. And then you can upgrade the tubes as well. It's actually a pretty decent amplifier. If you're looking for a DAC, actually I've got one in for a review, but apologies to APOS, I haven't got around to reviewing it. The D70 Pro Octo uses Cirrus Logic chips rather than the usual Sabre chips, and there is a Sabre chip version. But 8 Cirrus Logic chips does give a little bit of a different sound, and something somewhere akin to actually the new Bifrost 264, with only not much difference, but a whole bunch of features that, if you're interested in things like being able to manually switch in or out the XLR or RCA outputs, for example, this could be a DAC to consider, as I thought it was pretty decent, but you can look out for my review of that. Of course, there's always the good old M17 DAP at $17.99. Sadly, no discounts on that, but it's still, if you're looking for a desktop powerhouse, this is just one I simply recommend for everything in the kitchen sink transportable amp. And when you plug it into it as a desktop amp to its included power supply, it has some serious power and drive, if it is a touch thin sounding for my preference, due to the THX AAA amps and the Sabre DAC. Back to headphones though, all the HiFiMans are really cheap now, like the Ananda is only $359 down from $699. The Edition XS is $269 down from $499. I mean, that was kind of less than Sundara money. That's how cheap they've become. And of course, the good old Arya Stealth Magnet version is $819 down from, well, they usually sell for around $1,600–1,700 anyway. That was their original price, and that makes them quite the bargain. And sometimes you can get open box versions even down below $500 or $600, which is something to look out for as well. And last we have the good old Audeze LCD-Xs. I have a very original 2013 pair which has had the drivers upgraded. The $11.99 price, once you account for inflation, actually is somewhere about half what it used to cost them originally. So they've come down a lot in price, and they've improved the design and the drivers and everything over time. And so they're still a good pair of headphones if you want some big drivers for some big slam with a big amp from, say, Audio GD. They are pretty fantastic. Lastly, if you head to Amazon, I made a video about how when buying micro SD cards for your DAP or any other device for that matter, that some manufacturers were doing unscrupulous things by putting out cards that looked like 1TB micro SD cards for cheap, but were really 32GB cards flashed with corrupt firmware that made them look like they were 1TB. So people would record, family memories and stuff like that, and then find out that all the data was corrupt and it wasn't recoverable. And there was even one sad story of a guy who recorded, I think, his grandfather's, last moments, and then find out that none of it kept. And so I posted a video about being aware of bizarrely named companies on Amazon selling cheap micro SD cards. But the thing is now, the SanDisk Extremes have come down so much in price, you can get basically the same card for only a couple of bucks more than the Ultra. You can even get the 512GB for $35.99, and the Ultra is like $32.99. And that's so you get the fastest card for less. Now the 1TB are $79.99. The scammy cards were around like $20–30. So now they've come down enough in price from the $300 odd they used to be that you can get a 1TB card for quite a reasonable amount at 14% off. But even the other cards, if you don't need to store that much music, are pretty cheap. We're talking about $13, $22, that kind of thing. Really great value. And if you don't go with SanDisk, you can always get other really good brands such as Samsung. I don't know who makes the Amazon Basics ones or if they're really any good, but they seem to have, a good reputation. PNY, Silicon Power, all of those, Lexar, of course. And, even if you scroll down the first page, you're at least going to get brands which are good quality. But, I tend to go with the SanDisks, and they have almost never failed me. Also, if you are buying anything off of Amazon and you'd like to help out my channel, I've put a link in the description. If you add my code to the end of the product URL, after removing all the other stuff, hit enter, add it to your cart. When you buy it, if you don't return the item, it'll end up some months down the track, considering the return period is for Christmas, New Year is like sometime like the middle of January or something like that. Some months down the track I'll get a little bit back, and that'll help out my channel as well. Finally, I'd like to thank all the patrons and sponsors who have helped out my channel and have made it possible for me to continue doing reviews. And I hope you all have a good Thanksgiving for those of you in the US, and also a good Christmas for those of you who are celebrating it.